We got the assassin, baby. Number 1 ranked Brandon Moreno versus number 2 ranked Kai Kara-France. This feels like a comeuppance for Kai Kara-France. This feels much deserved. The man has been, ever since losing to Brandon Moreno, right? You know, this was back in 2019 or something like that. The man has gone on more or less of a run, brother. So let me actually take a quick look at Kai Kara-France's his strength of schedule. Let's look at all that good stuff, and let's really just determine, like, how has my man fared thus far? 24-9 in his career, lots of fights. So he lost to Brandon Moreno in 2019, one against Tyson Nam. He dropped that one to Brandon Royval, and Brandon Royval's real spark, his real run when he started in the UFC, and then 3 wins in a row. Rogerio Bontorin, after almost getting finished, you end up finishing him, which was kind of a controversial stoppage, but that's neither here nor there. Now, AJ, I have to be honest with you. This Cody Garbrandt win, I do not give as much stock to this as everybody else does, I think. Yes, Cody Garbrandt is a former champion, but he pulled the TJ Dillashaw, and he moved down weight, compromised chin, gets knocked out. Same thing TJ Dillashaw did when he fought Henry Cejudo. Now, it makes Henry Cejudo even more great because you're like, look, you're just knocking out all these former champions and all that, but it's like, yeah, but he went down weight, and yeah, okay. This is the biggest win right here. Askar Askarov. That decision win, gritting out, because Askarov had the backpack on him. That was the win right there. That really said, okay, this guy's ready. He's ready. Maybe not for a title, but yes, perfect. Interim title shot, yeah, absolutely, right? So let's talk about it, AJ. Assassin baby Brandon Moreno, last 3 fights have been against Davison Deuce de Guerra Figueiredo, right? A draw in the first fight. He submitted him in the second fight, and he lost a very close, controversial decision, which I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of think that Moreno won that fight personally. So you have a dude who's hung in there, toe-to-toe with the baddest man in the flyweight division, toe-to-toe. I'm talking about exchanging, not worried about the power, even seemed to have a little bit of a power advantage, even though he did get dropped in the last fight, but it seemed like he had a little bit of a power advantage and more volume and better jiu-jitsu, more or less, in the second fight. How can Kai Kara-France come in here confident saying, oh, he's not going to be able to handle my power, he's not going to be able to do this, when he stood toe-to-toe with Deuce de Guerra, the man who looks like he's 150 pounds come fight night, you know what I mean? Where does Kai Kara-France think he's going to be able to get the advantage in this matchup?
Man, I think it has to be the quick, fast combos of Kai Kara-France, man. That's to me what kind of does it the most. He throws in it. I was watching this. We were breaking this one down on Twitch again, man. Not to bring it up again, but to bring it up again also. Jab, power right hand across the middle, man. He works it all the time. Whether he throws a feint and then jab, it's always 2 with that hand, man. Boom, boom, comes in. And I think when you see, and the funky thing about Moreno, he does this weird, like, elbows in. You can't really see because the elbows in, hands out. So if he's parrying, and he has that thing, and I think the fast combos and the calculated counter, yeah, it's such a weird thing, but it works for him because he's protecting the body, and you can see the Mexican style of boxing that Moreno has. But to me, what's gonna get Kai Kara-France in his best situation or best fight situation is those fast combos, that jab, cross, right across, or jab, cross, and then let Moreno come back, and then a calculated counter strike after that, whatever the case may be. In those exchanges, I think that's where Kai Kara-France has just a little bit more of an advantage, just because he's a little quicker. I don't think he has a power advantage. Don't really think he has a speed advantage, if you will, but I think he has this quickness advantage that a lot of people are kind of underestimating. What do you think?
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you. But then I also just take a quick trip down memory lane and say, hey, these guys fought not that long ago. And what happened in that first fight? Kai Kara-France, did he have the power advantage? Yeah, and I do think it's safe to say that Kara-France has more power in terms of if he lands that right hand, he can put anybody to sleep, right, in this flyweight division. But AJ, Brandon Moreno just kind of picked him apart, just kind of outpointed him, you know what I mean? And he did what he needed to do to win a unanimous decision victory, 29-28 times 2, 30-27 times 1, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm actually going to pull up the UFC stats from that fight just so we can be clear on this, because even though I respect Kai Kara-France a ton, man, I do think that he's finally ready for this opportunity. I also think that in that fight, it's just a little tough to sit here and legitimately say, like, I mean, how is it going to be so much different from the first fight? Kai Kara-France says he's a completely different fighter, but so is Brandon Moreno. He's fighting all these title fights now. You know what I mean? The whole entire way you look at it is just different. So here's the numbers, brother. I'll pull it up right now. So it looks like Brandon Moreno. So you can see he outstruck Kai France 91 to 82. That's the other point right there. Even though on ESPN the significant strikes landed per minute favors Kai France, in this last fight, Brandon Moreno was the busier fighter. That's what won him the fight, right? And if you look at, okay, so there it is right there. From distance, Moreno did more work. Didn't really work the legs too much, right? Nah, kind of equal on the body, more of a head hunter. Kai France was a little bit more accurate, but I mean, the numbers speak for themselves right there. And lastly, here, pull this to the side, AJ. So you look at per round. Brandon Moreno gets outstruck in the first round, outstrikes him in the second round, and outstrikes him in the third round. So when it comes down to it, just like, all right, the rounds are adding up. Who's going to be busier? Who's going to do the thing? I mean, it was Brandon Moreno in that matchup. Now, Brandon Moreno, who I think his power translates from his precision, right? He has really good counter striking. If you look at his significant strike accuracy, it's almost 50%, 47% clip. Very high. Kai France is not far behind, about 43%. But I think that's where those holes are going to be found. And do you agree with me on that? Kai France might be loading up on a big combo, but Brandon Moreno had a really good job, especially against Davis and Figueiredo, of landing inside of those combos. While you're throwing the combo, that's when he's timing you and then getting back out, right? So do you agree with me there? And do you see any other real path to victory? Because there was no takedowns in the last fight, but I could see some jiu-jitsu happening here. Talk to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's the scary thing about Moreno. He has such a high fight IQ, and his timing is basically perfect, man. And for a short guy, I forget how short Brandon Moreno actually is.
5'7", brother. 5'7".
So just not even that short. I mean, just a little probably average for the weight class, for the flyweights. But man, he fights very, very long. You know, he even has this wide stance that he goes in. His combos are long. His timing is perfect. There's a lot of things Brandon Moreno does right that gives a lot of pause for concern if you're a Kai France fan. Now, the biggest thing I can see coming back, man, is that long stance, leg kicks. Yeah. I think it's going to be leg kick city all day long, man. And we saw even in the last Brandon Moreno fight, he was getting kicked pretty, his leg was getting chewed up. And if Kai France come in there, now the thing though, Kai France, not the biggest leg kicker in the world, not the same, but I do think that coming forward in the Eugene Behrmans, the City Kickboxing, the coaches staff over there, they're going to see that. And I think that's going to be leg kick. I mean, we've seen the leg kick really take over UFC in the last, 2 years or so. I think that's going to be a big thing for Kai France. Where do you see the jiu-jitsu coming into play on this one? Brandon Moreno taking over? What do you think?
Well, let's just take a look back at what Rogerio Bontorin did to Kai France, right? Let's take a look back at what Brandon Royval did to Kai France. How has Kai France lost the most out of all of his methodologies? 4 decision losses, 3 submission losses, 2 knockout losses. If you're Brandon Moreno, you've never been knocked out, you've never been submitted, never been finished. Your only losses have been via decision, right? So it's kind of tough sledding here for Kai France because if history proves anything, you better win a decision against him. It's going to be tough to knock him out. But I think that if Brandon Moreno can threaten things similar to how we're going to talk with Alexandre Pantoja and Alex Perez, if your jiu-jitsu is that good, you're not afraid of being taken down. Kai France, on the other hand, does not want to be on the ground. So it gives that additional element of Brandon Moreno saying, I could push the action because please take me down. So then I could submit you, you know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting to see how this fight unfolds. But let's not forget, this is a 5-round title fight. Kai France, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, does have 5-round experience. But let's just take a quick look, brother. Let's just go take a quick look. And I'll just pull it up real fast. And let me see. Round 2. I guess you got to see. This is why it's the user interface for SureDog is superior to Tapology because it just gives you the information. Okay, Kai France never gone 5 rounds in his MMA career. Never gone 5 rounds. So he's at a disadvantage right there because Brandon Moreno can go 5 rounds and still seem like he's in round 1, round 2, at round 5. These are flyweights after all. Let's talk about without the X's and O's more or less, right? But let's talk about the odds, man. Is Brandon Moreno, should he rightfully be a minus 200 favorite here with that plus 175 comeback for Kai France?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Especially with you fight 3 times for a title and you're not the favorite. I mean, you're just Juliana Peña shoes, really. But no, man, I think he's the favorite for sure.
Okay, so let's look at the most likely outcome for the odds makers once again. A decision in favor of Brandon Moreno is plus 130, man. I mean, that's pretty damn good. Now, if you're looking at Kai France, his decision prop is plus 300, knockout prop is plus 475, and then a submission prop for Brandon Moreno is plus 400. So it looks like either one of these could go to a decision because if you look at Figueiredo, the only fight that ended in a finish was the second one, right? And those are 2 dudes. I mean, you're literally fighting the most powerful dude in the division who's knocking everybody out, right? So Do you think Kai Car France can catch Brandon Moreno slipping, or is this going to be a repeat, just an extended version of their first fight?
I think it's just an extended version because it's crazy that the odds makers are thinking basically they have the same chance of Cara France getting KO or Moreno getting a submission.
Yeah.
Neither one are really. I mean, the opposite isn't really too relevant. You know, the Brandon Moreno KO or the Kai Cara France submission. They both can probably get a decision, but it's going to be more leaning towards Moreno. It's interesting to see that. I don't think a finish is going to happen for Cara France because of how good the chin and the heart of Brandon Moreno is. He's fighting with all Mexico in his back and a granite chin. I mean, it's like you said, uphill swimming.
And it's kind of a hometown event, right? This is in Dallas, Texas. That's close to Mexico right there, man. So you know they're going to be all in favor of Moreno. Let's not forget, too, this doesn't really matter because it hasn't shown to matter in the past, but Kai Car France is 5'4". Let's not forget. You know, there's a pretty major height advantage for Brandon Moreno. So I like a decision prop for Brandon Moreno personally. I think Kai Car France is going to be very tough. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth matchup, and I do not think that we're going to see a 50-45. I think that we're going to see a very tightly contested matchup here. So I like the over, which, AJ, the over is 4.5 rounds here, and it looks like minus 155 for the over. So I'm taking the over on that one, and I'm rocking with the decision. What do you have here?
I can see the decision happening. That's what I've been debating the entire time over here, scratching my chin and whatnot. I'm actually going to go with the Brandon Moreno submission, that plus 400 submission. I think we're going to happen late round 3, early round 4. What'd you say the over-under was?
4.5.
4.5. I'm going to take the under at late round 3. I'm gonna take the under. Brandon Moreno submission.
Okay, that's fair. Both of us have. I mean, it can't really be Anu or Still. I guess it has to be Anu on either half. We're picking assassin, baby. Brandon Moreno. Come on, this dude is the champion. Once again, I encourage all of you guys to just rewatch that Figueiredo Brandon Moreno number 3. Just rewatch it and just tell me what you think after. You know what I mean? Because I rewatched it and I was like, so how did Figueiredo win this fight? And then Tapology, they had Brandon Moreno winning, and okay, that's not it.